Candlewick offers 3 different products to help ensure that wicks stay centered and straight when making candles: pillar pins, votive pins, and bow tie wick bars. Pillar pins are used in conjunction with round, seamless aluminum pillar molds that are open on one end and recessed on the other. The recessed end will create a perfectly shaped top to the finished candle. A hole on the recessed end accommodates the pin of the pillar pin. It's important that the diameter of the pillar mold and the diameter of the pillar pin base are the same and nest together well to avoid leakage while pouring. Prior to sliding the pillar pin into the mold, spray nonstick cooking spray on the pin to facilitate easier removal of the candle once it's done. To make a candle using a pillar mold and the appropriate pillar pin, begin by inserting the pin into the hole on the recessed end of the mold. It's a good idea to set the assembly down on a cookie sheet or a piece of wax paper, just in case there's wax leakage. Pour the melted wax into the mold as you would on a regular pillar candle. Paraffin wax works best. After about an hour, poke some holes into the wax with a chopstick or pencil to get rid of any air bubbles. Then let it cool for a few hours and top it off as usual. When the wax is completely solidified and the outside of the mold is cool to the touch, grip the mold with one hand and use the other hand to get hold of the pin base and pull. Turn the pillar over and the candle will gently slide out. If it doesn't come right out, you can put it in the freezer for a minute or 2 and try again. Use a wick assembly at least a ½ inch longer than the mold. Insert the wick through the hole left by the wick pin, pressing the wick tab gently into the bottom. There are a number of ways to level the bottom of the candle so it stands up straight. One of the easiest is to heat an old frying pan or cookie sheet and slowly rub the base of the candle over the heated surface until the bottom is flat and the metal wick tab is fused to the candle. As a final step, trim the wick to about ¼ inch and the candle's ready for use. The votive pin is used in small metal votive molds to ensure the wick will be centered in the candle. As with the pillar pin, coating the votive pin with non-stick cooking spray will help to ensure easy release. Drop the base of the votive pin into the votive mold so its base contacts the bottom. Pour in the wax as you normally would for a votive candle, all the way to the top. Again, paraffin wax works exceptionally well. As with any molded candle, let it cool for a few hours, then top it off as usual. When the wax is completely solidified and cooled, pull the votive candle out of the mold by the pin. Turn the votive over and the candle will gently slide off. If it doesn't come right off, you can put it in the freezer for a minute or 2 and try again. Replace the pin with a wick assembly at least a ½ inch longer than the mold. Insert it through the hole left by the wick pin, pressing the wick tab gently into the hole. Finally, trim the wick to about ¼ inch and the candle's ready for use. Bow tie wick bars are used to hold the wick or wicks in place in container candles. The bar has steps on each side to fit containers with diameters from 2 inches up to 3¾ inches. It also has 3 holes, a middle one for 1 wick, and 2 outer holes to hold 2 wicks. Select a wick assembly that's at least a ½ inch taller than the container you'll be using. For a candle with a single wick, put a dab of hot melt glue on the bottom of the wick assembly tab and place it firmly in the center of the bottom of the container. You can apply pressure to the tab with a pencil or chopstick to make sure the tab firmly adheres to the container. With the lower side of the bow tie bar pointing down, insert the wick through the large part of the middle opening. Make sure the bar is centered on the rim of the container. The ridges will help to do this. Steady the bar with one hand and insert the wick into the narrow slot to hold and center it. You're now ready to pour. Throughout the pouring process, the bar should hold the wick firmly in place at the exact center of the candle. Although you can remove the bar after the first pour, Consider leaving it in place during the whole topping off process to absolutely ensure the wick stays centered. After the final pour is completely cooled and solidified, slide the wick out of the slot and remove the bow tie wick bar. Trim the wick to length, about 1/4 inch, and the container candle is ready to enjoy. For candles with 2 wicks, visually estimate where the wick should be placed to line up with the corresponding holes in the bar. Using the same method of applying hot melt glue to the wick's metal tabs, secure the wicks to the bottom of the container. After inserting each wick into the corresponding narrow slots, you're ready to pour. For such a simple device, the bow tie wick bar does a remarkable job, is extremely accurate, and gives a very professional look to your candles.